So here are the 10 lessons I learned from basic SEAL training that hopefully will be of value to you as you move forward in life. Every morning in SEAL training, my instructors, who at the time were all Vietnam veterans, would show up in my barracks room, and the first thing they'd do was inspect my bed. If you did it right, the corners would be square, the covers would be pulled tight, the pillow centered just under the headboard, and the extra blanket folded neatly at the foot of the rack. It was a simple task, mundane at best, but every morning we were required to make our bed to perfection. It seemed a little ridiculous at the time, particularly in light of the fact that we were aspiring to be real warriors, tough, battle-hardened SEALs. But the wisdom of this simple act has been proven to me many times over. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. During SEAL training, the students are all broken down into boat crews. Each crew is 7 students, 3 on each side of a small rubber boat, and 1 coxswain to help guide the dinghy. Every day, your boat crew forms up on the beach and is instructed to get through the surf zone and paddle several miles down the coast. In the winter, the surf off San Diego can get to be 8 to 10 feet high, and it is exceedingly difficult to paddle through the plunging surf unless everyone digs in. Every paddle must be synchronized to the stroke count of the coxswain. Everyone must exert equal effort, or the boat will turn against the wave and be unceremoniously dumped back on the beach. For the boat to make it to its destination, everyone must paddle. You can't change the world alone. You will need some help. And to truly get from your starting point to your destination takes friends, colleagues, the goodwill of strangers, and a strong coxswain to guide you. If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Karis Project podcast. We are here with episode 160 of The Matrix Reloaded, The Jezebel Effect, Part 5. We might have to just maybe start a little thing, just a mini-series called The Jezebel Effect, because we're going to be doing these for a little while because we have been exposing the effect of feminism. And like I said, we're not saying that feminists are this way. We are looking at the teachings and the effect of the teachings, which is different than people, right? Many people are well-meaning. doesn't mean that what they're believing is always what was sold to them, which many people are unaware of, or they were told some variation of something or the other. But it doesn't matter. The effect is the same, but not the people. We're separating well meaning people. So we're going to continue down on actually a couple of things. We're going to talk about Bernays and so forth and bring in a couple more ideas. But I wanted to bring in a couple of things here for before we got in because you were having your stream there and you were saying a couple of things. So I thought that one of these things would be of interest to bring up. Let me get it up here. Because they were talking about women and men being equal in every situation, which isn't true. But let's listen to what this woman had to say when it came to talking about relationships.
What do women want men to do?
The reality is women want men to be their personal slaves. Women want men to placate to this fantasy that they have in their mind. And women got a lot of fantasies. Women want men to be these aggressive vessels that have a woman's nature. This is what they want. It's like they want their cake and eat it too. So they are addicted to sex to justify their sexual addictions since they can't stay away from it. They have to try to make the man become a version of a woman that they like sleeping with.
Thoughts?
I don't.
What?
I don't understand what she said at the last part about the addiction. Like
That they're addicted to sex and they want the man to become a version of themselves, like a version of
she didn't
themselves that
say
they
why.
like.
She said because they want the man to become a version of what they like, so that they would actually want to sleep with them. But she never said why. Like she never told us why.
I,
Like she just gave a bunch of outcomes. I don't understand why she was
I
saying
guess
that.
what I gather is that she was saying that they want a man because they're addicted to sex. They want a man like
Yeah, but that's
themselves.
not.
I don't
No,
know.
she's saying that they're trying to create the man into a feminine version of with a man's aggression so that they'll be attracted to sleeping them. She's saying that they're gay. She's essentially saying that they're making the man like a sex object aggressively physically but with feminine tendencies so that they'll want to sleep with them and have sex with them to soothe their sexual addiction. But she never gave the circumstances.
No, she wanted the men to be aggressive like they were. Men are not naturally aggressive. They
But
are
women are not.
assertive. Women, when they mimic men, become aggressive.
Yeah, see, like I feel like maybe the clip just wasn't long enough for me to understand the context of what she was saying. Because like I needed to hear more of what she said to make sense fully. Do you see what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. I mean, a lot of it wasn't always that clear, but the point is, she was
She's
right
trying
there.
to say that they're trying to make men aggressive. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, like how
Yeah.
females are aggressive with each other.
Yeah.
That's what they
But
want.
she said, but with a feminine tendency. Well, man will become aggressive if it's feminine tendency with the strength of a man. But then that's the only man that they want to have sex with because he has a feminine tendency which she's comfortable with, but he has the body of a man and the aggression of a man, which she feels like is going to be her 50 Shades of Grey
And it's
sex
going to be
experience.
chaotic like her.
Yes, so she's going to get off on the emotional chaos. So,
And then she wants to control him
well,
at
that's
the
how she
same time.
controls him.
But then
Yeah.
that's because then she can manipulate him with the sex.
Yeah.
But that usually ends up blowing up in their face.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna pull up some more because I just wanted to get that one out there because I was like, that was kind of in the context of what you were saying. Pull this here. This one was actually how it talks about the double standard with men and women. We'll get into
Give me an example of how you're actually currently being oppressed.
Because those systems have been in place so long where women shouldn't have jobs, women shouldn't have financial stability, women shouldn't be in charge of their own finances, a lot of families have come to think that that is the truth. They have come to accept that. And so a lot of families don't prioritize their daughters getting educated or etc.
So what do you have to say then across the nation in the United States? The higher education gap, it's like 60% women, and this was the case since 1980. So perhaps historically this might have been the case, but now that the gap exists in the other way, are you prepared to say that there's discrimination and sexism against men given the disparity?
No, I'm not prepared to say that.
But there's a gap that exists.
Yeah, and why is that gap there?
Maybe because women are being presented with more opportunities just because they're women.
Is the female population not higher than the male population?
Perhaps in a very small way, it wouldn't account for such a massive gap in higher education.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. Women shouldn't vote. Yeah. Yeah, women shouldn't vote. They shouldn't be in university. I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care. University is a scam. It's a scam anyways. And they shouldn't be in jobs that men are supposed to do, that men are predominantly meant to do. There should be a wage gap. The reason why that men are being paid less is because women is stealing the money and opportunities from capable men. And I'm sick of these conversations because really they're talking about the wrong thing. Women can't get education and all this other crap. Well, does she need to go to university? What value is she going to put into society by going to university? Like, why are we really asking the wrong questions? Like, why are you focusing on the wage disparity between men and women? Who cares? Unless you're willing to work as hard as them, and you're not. You're willing to, blow your back out because you're doing hard, intensive labor, not laying on your back, and you're not going to, then there's going to be a wage gap. And, education has nothing to do with it because a man can make more money than you because he worked hard for it and he has absolutely no education other than, some sort of primary and secondary education, which is like, K to 12. Doesn't mean that you are better than him.
No, it doesn't.
Like, women seem to think that intelligence makes them a man. No matter how smart you are as a woman, you will never be a man.
They think education, because that's their most effective skill, is education.
It's picking out words.
No. Educating children is the most important skill that a woman has.
I'm talking about the way that they use it, though.
Yes.
When they get it.
Yes, but they think that they're going to level the playing field with men by education.
Yes, women are really good at nurturing and educating children. Well, that's what they're predominantly meant to do, but they're not doing that.
They're not doing it in the way that God designed them.
No, they're doing it to do egregious acts of evil.
Yes. And that's the problem.
I would rather be beaten within an inch of my life and left for dead, black and blue, than have a female boss.
Yes.
Yeah, if you told me we're going to beat you within an inch of your life or we'll pay you loads of money to work for this woman, I would take the beating.
Yes. I'm going to bring back this clip. This is a longer clip because we want to hear this. And I want people to think about what is going on with feminism as you listen to this clip.
If our perception is being managed, then we are in a psyop. Guaranteed, we're in a psyop. So all this started with a guy named Edward Bernays.
Edward Bernays.
Edward Bernays. He was the guy that invented the term PR. And he changed the term from propaganda to public relations. He just changed the word propaganda. He was the guy, he's the reason our butter or margarine got dyed yellow. He's the reason that we think bacon is part of an American breakfast, because the pork industry needed to sell more bacon. He's the reason the Department of War was changed to the Department of Defense. He's the reason that women started smoking Virginia Slims back in the 70s. When it was inappropriate for women to smoke. So he organized a parade called Torches of Freedom, where women would go and smoke in the street and just say F you to everybody. And just, he changed the perception as like, this is a symbol of freedom and I'm going to smoke. So he was the biggest propagandist probably in the last 400 or 500 years, like in the world. So he manipulated a lot of economic stuff. He had a lot to do with the United Fruit Company, which is down in South America, which you may have heard of in Panama. But this guy invented all of these processes to shape perception and change how people behave. And he was actually Sigmund Freud's nephew. And he wrote a lot about this propaganda stuff. And his best-selling book that he wrote about all of this is called Crystallizing Public Opinion. And in this book, he talks about grabbing a hold of somebody's focus, establishing some kind of authority. And I'm using my own words here, but it's that same exact process. So if you think of that FATE model that we talked about, FATE, focus, authority, tribe, and emotion, that's our hardware. There's another set of influencing factors for the human side of the brain, the software part. But that controls our hardware. And with everybody, we have all the same hardware, almost identical hardware. And that's all you need to take control of a human brain. It's like, can I establish the focus? Are they doing that with the UFOs? Did they harness our focus? Are there people of authority coming out? Is there a sense of tribe involved with that? There's UFO communities, there's the subreddits, but if I like a couple of UFO things on the internet, I'm going to get fed like crazy amounts of UFO stuff online. And then there's emotional stuff. And then we have like the emotional anticipation of some of these videos that says, John Smith is going live tonight at 7. He's going to expose everything, new secrets you've never heard before. And of course, nothing happens. Mm-hmm. So if I can harness the power of FATE, then I can control a total society.
What's some of the most successful psyops you've seen conducted that are complete now? That you could maybe dive us in, that we could dive into and you could explain, from start to finish what the end product was.
Our school system was one of the biggest, and how westernized systems of elementary, middle, and high school were organized. When the U.S. was first getting started, this guy, I can't remember his name, but he was in charge of this stuff. So he is going to be the first head of the Department of Education and create this education system that's going to be nationwide. He goes and learns, he flies to Europe and learns from all these people who developed something called the Prussian education system, which in the Department of Education's founding documents, which were some written by this guy, was turn schools into factories that make good workers. I'm paraphrasing that, but the word factories was there. School is just a factory to manufacture people for the workforce and the people that are obedient and all of this. So the Prussian education system was meant so that workers were manufactured and people didn't question the king. That was the big thing. So if I have to get a whole country to adopt a system that's probably not in your best interest, then I've got to do some work with PR. I've got to work with this Edward Bernays guy maybe, or I've got to do something to get people to adopt that belief. So this system was made, like standing up in the morning was the first thing we do every day. I pledge allegiance to the flag every day. And then we sit down, we're told what to do. where to sit. We don't really do a lot of creative thinking. Can you memorize this and can you spit it back out? Can I teach you this one thing? Can you spit it back out? Let me teach you geometry so you can cut wood, or so that you can square off a corner when you become a kitchen remodeling guy, whatever that is. That the adoption, the way that our country adopted that, is one of the most successful psyops ever. And I mean, you eat pretty healthy, I would imagine. And do you eat based on the food pyramid?
No.
Where you get like 9 loaves of bread a day or whatever it tells you to eat?
No.
That's another great example of that, of where like it's still standing. It's still there. And we know that it's not the right way to do it. And we know that different people need different diets, but there's still a food pyramid there. And that was from Edward Bernays, again, who kind of invented that. So all of these programs that we consider parts of our everyday life, and we consider like, oh, that's an American tradition, a lot of those were originated through some kind of psyop. So when it comes to like, am I in a psyop, we have to define that term a little more narrowly, because if you're watching an infomercial, you're in a psyop. Mm-hmm. So everything's trying to influence your behavior to buy something or do this. But I would say, like, when it comes to commercials and stuff, those are all psyop, and all advertising.
So, education or indoctrination. Who's being educated more than anybody else right now?
Women.
Right. And who are the best educators?
Women.
Right. So when they start indoctrinating women, and they're the ones who are educating, and then they put them into schools, what do you think they're doing with them?
Well, actually, you would say that women are the best educators.
For young children?
Men. Yeah, but women have to learn from the men first so they can teach their children.
Yes, but I'm saying their ability to communicate the information to the young children, they are the best suited to do that.
Yeah.
So they're going in, they're getting something that is kindled from the hellish torch of Satan, and then they're taking that and they're instilling in the minds of children. They are using them actively through that educational system to replace the parent and indoctrinate them with filth. And when a woman that is young, when your child is young, the woman is going to have a greater effect on laying down that foundation through her nurturing capabilities to influence that child in a very wrong manner. And then you're not able to dissent against this when you speak about feminism and see how long you last. You're going to turn it there. Even feminists have said something about certain areas of feminism and they got destroyed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have to start sitting down and thinking about, when you look at it, when you think about it realistically, feminism is a huge psyop. It is a complete psyop that is being run against the people to tell them some things that make absolutely no sense whatsoever. None. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, and the Prussian system, like, we've been telling people for a hot minute that the education system was built off of the Prussian system. The fact that they have it officially on the records of the Department of Education, like, that was the founding thing, and Edward Bernays and all that, I'm like, that's hilarious. I've been telling people, you can look at the government's documents of all the different departments, or you could go to government archives, you could go to Library of Congress. You can find a lot of information about the beginning of everything in America, but people just don't read. And that's the problem. Well, that's one of the problems.
Yeah, like you said, he was correct. He does have the book called Crystallizing Opinion. He also has a book called Engineering of Consent and a book called Propaganda.
Yeah.
Right? This guy is all about manipulation.
Yeah.
And emotional manipulation is the biggest thing, because he talked about this in Propaganda, and he talked, like, they used to sell things based on its practicality. It was logical. He people away from that so that they would become emotional. And feminization of men was necessary. Feminists made men better customers, because women made good customers, because women would shop on things that made them feel good.
Yeah.
And if you made men emotional, they started to do things that made you feel good. But then the downside of that is that if they felt good in taking something from you, then they'd beat you to take it.
Yeah.
Right? This is the problems. Like, sure, it made more money for people, but it created more crime when you had feminized men that had no self-control. And this is the problems that we're having. When you let your society be manipulated in this manner, you have some serious problems. I'm going to bring this guy back here again. It was actually kind of funny. Actually, let's take a commercial break so that we can come in here and get you to support. Listen to the video. Please support. We're going to take this.
Hello friends, my name is Kaysha and I'm a proud member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. And I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. My trafficking began in Saskatchewan, moved into Alberta, and even crossed into the United States. I was stalked, hunted, and ignored by the very systems over the last 5 years that were meant to protect me. This is why, with my father Dale Richardson, we started the Kaysha Project. This is an Indigenous, survivor-led movement for humanity dedicated to exposing trafficking, government corruption, and holding institutions accountable. One of the most powerful tools that we are using is the petitions for redress of grievances. These are lawful constitutional actions rooted in Canadian and US law, and in treaties that tie us together across provinces, across states, and even across borders. These petitions are precedent-setting. They create a binding record. They demand accountability while representing reconciliation in action. Indigenous and non-Indigenous people working side by side to preserve liberty for all. But we cannot do this alone. We need your help to keep this movement alive, to raise awareness and to build a legacy of justice for Indigenous women, for trafficking survivors, and for families everywhere. Thank you. Please stand with us. Your support makes this work possible. Together we can restore justice, heal families, and defend freedom. And I will close with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. And men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Thank you.
So if anybody wants to support, please support the Kaysha Project. There's the donor box, Give, Send, Go. There's also an action plan because we've started to serve the petitions again. We did one here in Alberta. Or you can go to mypillow.com/the Kaysha Project or call 800-845-2942. You can use the promo code Kaysha. You can use the donor box or Give, Send, Go. Or you can go to all my links/the Kaysha Project. They got, and you can see the stuff in the ticker. We have products, mugs, merchandise, and other different things that you can use to support. Whatever way, please do so. Like, subscribe, and share. And if you're on Vocal, you can also click the support button on the Kaysha Project page. Yes, so we're going to kind of get back here and circle back to what we were saying here. Because I'm going to bring this guy up because he was kind of funny, but he talks a little bit more about Bernays in depth. So you might just remember a portion of this clip, but let's bring him back.
Who's Edward Bernays?
Edward Bernays.
I heard you mention him, but briefly.
Yeah, so Edward Bernays, he's known as the father of propaganda. So I've talked about this. I talked about it at Tate's Place. I've talked about it at a couple other locations. I'm very passionate about understanding the root source of the cause. And a lot of the habits that Americans form, you're going to start asking yourself, who instilled these thoughts? Who instilled kind of this philosophy and these habits? A famous one is the all-American breakfast. You get your eggs, you get your bacon, you get your sausages, you get your orange juice, you get your milk. But 100 years ago, that wasn't breakfast.
That wasn't the American breakfast.
A breakfast wasn't a thing, right? So people nowadays, and I saw it on TikTok, like, well, what do you want me, Luke, to starve? No, I want you to be conscientious about who you're believing with regards to the information that you have. So Edward Bernays, known as the father of propaganda, also related to the owner of Netflix, which is very interesting, right? Because Netflix is a big propaganda machine. So you see a lot of these things kind of interconnecting with themselves, which is one of the reasons why I don't watch movies, which is why you asked me, is I don't like people programming my mind. I like to program my mind by myself.
It's literally called a TV program.
Like literally you watch the news and it says, it's time for your regular programming. Like they literally fucking tell it to you. It's like, are you ready to get programmed, motherfucker? All right, sit down, turn on the TV at 9 o'clock with your GMO processed bullshit food that you just pulled out of the fridge and then you put it in the microwave. You're good to go. Sit down. Eat that genetically modified corn off of that plastic container. You're chilling. Sit down for your regular programming. That's the name of the game nowadays. Edward Bernays launched the breakfast campaign because the meat industry came to him and said, dude, we're slacking on meat sales. What can we do? So he's like, it's too hard to convince the average person. It's too hard to convince the individual. I need to go to the people that are already sources of authority. So what did he go and do? He went and convinced who? The doctors, the pediatricians, that breakfast was the most essential diet, with all these studies and all these case studies and all these scientific papers that were written and all these experiments and all this bullshit. It was all paid propaganda. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
Yes. Safe and effective.
Just like COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
They use the white coats. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's really funny what he said. Yeah, it's true though. It's true, and they done the same thing with the pandemic. So that's kind of funny. But those are, when you think about it, those are the authority figures that you have to go to sway society. I mean, like, realistically speaking, which is also why men should be involved in doing things instead of women, because the effect is not the same.
Yes.
Not at all. How Edward Bernays was able to go and just manipulate with lies, and men are like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. We're gonna make so much money, yeah, because you're gonna lie to them with that, and then I'm gonna get more clients as a doctor, and then the pediatrician's gonna get more clients, and then the pharmacy is gonna get more clients, and we're all gonna make loads of money, and then you could be the most famous man that no one's ever heard about. And yeah, so that was more of a business thing, I guess, because they weren't just like, here, kill all your patients and there's no benefit. You have to give them benefit. And the benefit is the money, because they have frequent flyers. They called them when I worked in the hospital and prisons and stuff. Oh yeah. I'm like, why aren't you giving them the proper diet? Like, why aren't you teaching them stuff? They're like, they're frequent flyers. They're just gonna be back next week anyways. I'm like, your patient's up there ordering Popeyes, bro. Like, you need to do something. They're like, nah, they're frequent flyers. They're gonna die anyways. I'm like, oh, true? Like, so it's what they want to do. But he didn't just sell it to them because it was like, oh, go ahead and kill your practice and your pride and your prestige as a doctor or a pediatrician or a pharmacist. It was like, okay, well, this is how you can make money, and I'll help you do it if you help me kill all these people. It's like, okay, sure.
Yes. I'm gonna bring another clip here quickly, and then we're gonna move on to another clip. But this one here, I want you to listen to what this guy says about how they basically manipulate people. They're talking about this openly. So let's just bring that.
Perception, context, permission, the PCP model, is a way of understanding how to get someone to do something.
The PCP model looks like it's 3 steps, but I want you to view it as kind of dominoes. So one step starts the progress of coming down the other, and once that comes down, the next domino starts going down. So if I change your perception about something, then I change the context that you're viewing that in, which changes the way that you feel permission to do it. So I'll give you an example. An attorney in Washington State was charged with assault of a woman using hypnosis. and he would have her get naked in his office, which is something she would not normally do. But he would hypnotize her and then tell her, at the end of the day, you come home from work and this is just like that time. I want you to picture yourself, it's the end of the day, you're coming home from work, you drop your keys in the bowl, you make your way to the bathroom, you turn on a hot shower, and now you're here getting ready to get into that shower. So he's changed her perception of where she is. He changed the context of neither one of you or me right now would like get naked on a podcast, but both of us are going to later tonight when we go to shower, because that's a different context. So he modified the context, which gave her permission to remove clothing or do something that we otherwise wouldn't do in a social setting. One of the ways that I study this is cult recruiters. And I spent a long time working with these cult recruiters, and I was back and forth between cult recruiters and door-to-door salespeople. They talk people into doing things they probably wouldn't otherwise have done. Installing a $95,000 solar system on their roof, or buying a vacuum cleaner, or joining a cult that's probably harmful. But all of them started off the conversation by changing the perception of what's going on. So instead of me saying, hey, let me talk to you about this thing that's from a needy perspective, they come out with a survey and they say it's an anonymous survey, which automatically makes the people more open. So it's an anonymous survey. I've changed permission. So now the context has shifted slightly. And if I could change your perception again, would you rather be in a group of people who feel like family or people who are related to you? So I start asking all these little questions about how would you rather live your life in a way that's like just kind of nudging you down into this cult mindset of like, do you want to be around people that enjoy your company? Like those kind of questions. So more perception changes. Now the context shifts to where I've just made 25 agreements about who I am as a human being. So now my context is way off, which shifts my permission. It's like I have permission to do this because that's the kind of person I've just agreed to be. And that's who I've said that I am. I have to do this because that's cognitive dissonance. And one thing I teach about any persuasion, whether you're doing a psyop on an entire country or you're just manipulating one person or doing therapy on one person, your main weapon is cognitive dissonance. I'm getting you to be uncomfortable because the way that I've got you to see the world doesn't match up with what you're doing. Easiest thing for you to change is what you're doing. Instead of changing your mind about something or calling yourself dumb, I just get you to do something different.
Now, remember when he said almost everybody's minds are wired the same? He's talking in a very overconfident way. And they know that psyops don't work very well on everybody.
No, they don't.
Some people are very high resistant. I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to play a clip. And there's this Polish fellow named Kazimierz Dabrowski. You're going to correct me on it. I know I don't say it the proper way, but I'm English. Yes. This guy did a lot of things, and he did a theory called the theory of positive personality disintegration. He was a very brilliant fellow. He quantified personality in a better way than anybody else. The MBTIs, their serve a purpose, but they actually don't encapsulate how personality works. And a lot of it he uses in a little bit different way to describe it, but says that it's more fluid and it changes based on the experiences, and putting people through pressure will either break them down or they will disintegrate but then reintegrate their personality and come out stronger on the other side. So I'm going to play this clip and you'll understand why certain people are not as resistant to the psyops.
Let's say we take your average person with no real unique personality or traits. Their lives and decisions are based either on biological impulse or an uncritical acceptance of social values. Their reactions are not unique. They laugh at weddings and cry at funerals, all based on what is accepted in a social context. Their life has been shaped by a media and an education system that does not value individual expression and real examination. Dabrowski calls this level 1. And a significant majority of the population falls under this category. Then, on the other hand, we have what he calls level 5. The visionaries, the Nelson Mandelas, and the Martin Luther Kings of the world. Nearly every action they take is in line with their core values and the unique way they see the world. Truly visionary works are only created by people who are unrestrained from social convention. They have strong acts of creative expression, usually through action, art, or social change. And then we have everyone else who is somewhere in between. On both levels 1 and 5, there's little internal conflict. For level 5, that is because their actions almost always align with their views on life. There is no internal turmoil because all decisions are based on well thought out hierarchical values. On level 1, their actions are often self-advancing, but they can always be justified either by a social norm, like I speed because everyone else speeds, or through the mindset of the ends justifies the means. And we see this all the time in leaders, politicians, and on TV shows like Game of Thrones and House of Cards. At this level, self-advancement comes before all else. This is something I saw a lot while I was working in sales. There wasn't even a second thought given to misleading or misrepresenting the truth in order to make a sale. And it could always be justified by, I have to hit my sales numbers in order to keep my job. Or something like, this guy drove up in a Rolls Royce, he can afford it. On level 1, because their values are shaped by culture, they will only stay ethical as long as the society holds an ethical standard. Where it gets interesting is between levels 2 through 4. This is where real personal struggle and existential crises begin to happen. At level 2, many of the status quo explanations for the way things are learned through traditional education begin to collapse under individual scrutiny. They begin to see the gap between where the world could be and where it is right now. Common behaviors and ethics come to be seen as inadequate, wrong, or hypocritical. Crises like these represent a strong potential for personal growth. This person can now move ahead with careful examination of the world and their own value system, or the social and internal pressure can cause them to fall back into level 1. Transitioning from level 2 to 3, you begin to compare and contrast actual behavior of most people to a higher idealized choice. Your authentic self will always choose the higher path as the clear and obvious one to follow. If this person's behavior falls short of the ideal, there is internal disharmony and they are driven to review and reconstruct their behavior to fit the ideal. This is the point where you're like Neo taking the red pill. If you advance past level 3, you can no longer go back to seeing the world the way you used to. If the person does not have what Dabrowski calls enough developmental potential to move past this point, they will again fall back into level 2 and then level 1. At level 4, a person takes full control of their development. Involuntary, spontaneous reactions to stimulus are replaced by a conscious and self-directed view of life. Old views of life are replaced by carefully thought out and examined ideals. If a common social convention is seen as appropriate, the person continues to accept it. On the other hand, a social norm can be reviewed and replaced by a self-perceived higher value one. These individuals have a feeling of responsibility that extends to just about everything. This theory states that not all people have the potential to advance through all 5 levels. In fact, most people will only get as far as level 2. Unable to handle their existential crisis, they get integrated back into level 1, where they can seek comfort in the hive mind or groupthink paradigm. The most evident characteristic of people who have high developmental potential is what he calls overexcitability, or how intensely that person experiences day-to-day emotions. The more overexcitability a person has, the more intensely they experience day-to-day life. They feel the extreme highs and lows of joy and sorrow more profoundly. They are often driven by their emotions and have a powerful perception of the world. They are more prone to experience angst, anxiety, and depression. And this is why his theory is called positive personality disintegration. The more stress and turmoil a person is exposed to, the more potential their personality has to develop. Though a person on level 5 will face little internal conflict, most likely they will experience a lot of resistance externally. They do not care about how their actions are perceived by the outside world, and because of that, they will probably face pressure to conform to society's standards. Dabrowski says a person whose overexcitability is high enough will undergo personality disintegration, despite any social or family efforts to stop it. This can often place the person in great peril, with many brilliant minds ending up exiled, assassinated, or burnt at the stake. Dabrowski called overexcitability a tragic gift. People who feel emotions more intensely are naturally going to experience great highs and tragic lows. They will face much internal and external conflict as their personality develops. The stress this causes will drive personal growth, but can actually result in suicide from people who can't handle their world being turned upside down. People with high potential for development have to walk their own path, often at the expense of fitting in. Joseph Campbell said in Knight's Quest for the Grail, "If a path exists in the forest, don't follow it. For though it took someone else to the Grail, it will not take you, because it is not your path."
Yes. This what you just watched here is what they use to test people for these metrics in school.
Yeah, they do.
What in Canada is Dabrowski, he was influenced Maslow, right? And they were contemporaries, but Dabrowski had a large influence on Maslow. He came to the United States and then he came to Canada. He taught at the University of Alberta. They revered this man. Canada is one of the world leaders in psyops because of this man's work, because they can identify the ones that have the highest developmental potential, and these are the ones that they attack the most. The people that you're seeing getting destroyed are the ones that have the highest developmental potential. These are the ones that have this mental toughness because of the insane amount of overexcitability is what he talks about, right? And a lot of it isn't just emotional. This guy has some grasp, but it's not all that much. Like, yes, they have emotional, but there's other excitabilities that can counterbalance if you have high emotional excitability, like the high intellectual overexcitabilities will then be able to rationalize whatever emotional thing that you're dealing with. You can deal with these things in real time. This is why they attack people. This is the highest scale. And the people that will end up pushing further to level 3 and past are Christians because of their beliefs. Because it's ingrained in your mind that you're in a war and all of these things. And like what the guy said, that cognitive dissonance is your greatest weapon, because people will rather change themselves than change the view of the world. When you're at level 4 and 5, especially level 5, it don't matter. Cognitive what? There isn't even a thought, because you know what you need to do, and that's it. They hate the people that are level 4 and 5, because the level 5s are the guys that will, like they say, they're the visionaries. They come up and they a lot of these guys end up dead because they will not capitulate, right? Those are the kinds of people that they hate. They will do everything to destroy them. And even a lot of level 1s will attack them because they make them feel bad. The guys at the level 1, these are the perfect people that Bernays likes to manipulate. And that's where most people are. Most people aren't designed to be leaders. They want to be, they're not. People who God designed to be leaders are the ones that you would see where they would push them on, say, on the higher developmental potential, because leaders are designed to take more of that kind of abuse, because from the way God designed leaders is you follow after Jesus, and Jesus didn't tell you to go anywhere he didn't go before, right? His life was hell from cradle to the grave, right? So this is where we're at. And when you look at when you see the people with the most, if you look at people with the most of the developmental potential, there were far more men at that level than women.
It's their natural behavior to be, I do what I want.
Yes.
It's not natural for women to be as confrontational like that. I do what I want, like that.
When you see people being attacked and why they're able to deal with certain things, it's because of that. Because my life like the stuff people are going through now, I've been dealing with this stuff my whole life. When I went through school, that was a big mistake. If my mother didn't put me in school, I would have been off the radar, but it was on the radar and it would just like kill. My daughter, her life was hell because of it. This is why they won't let me see my youngest daughter, because they don't want me to instill her with the same type of mentality. They want to pollute her mind with this filth so that she will go ahead and fight for this filth in the way that we're fighting for doing what's right. This is what this is about, and this is how they target people. People who are being targeted is because they think you're on the wrong side of the scale where they can't manipulate you. And that's why you said not everybody's brain chemistry is functioning the same, because you're talking about people like this. That's the reason why. Feminism is very much counter to becoming one of these people and developing your developmental potential. You will not. It's too much of a group thing. They indoctrinate you into something that will restrain you from developing to your full potential. It is one of the biggest psyops. Anything you want to say? Yes. So at a time where you need people that are unafraid to deal with this stuff and are unafraid of public pressure or any of that kind of stuff, or what people are going to do, those are the kinds of people that you need in these types of times. But people, because they feel bad, want to destroy us. Right? That's really all there is to it. Like, I mean, I don't know what else to say, because when I sit down and hear people talking about, well, oh, they have it so bad. No, you don't. When I listen to some white people are getting discriminated against, no doubt. When I look at what happened, I'm like, yeah, that's what it's like to be black my whole life.
Literally. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't care. I really don't care. When I hear white people whining about, oh, my skin color, they hate me because of my skin color, I'm like, join the club. It was always gonna come to you. You should have listened before. And I'm not saying that it should happen to people. I'm saying you sat by and watched this problem, and now that you're feeling the burns and the coals of it, now you're complaining about it. I don't. You're not sorry that you're actually that you done it. You're sorry that you're experiencing it. So like, people who are out here trying to complain about something that's been going on for a very long time, and the people are disingenuous, acting like racism is only happening to white people.
It's not
Racism, oh, the world is only racist to white people. All the minorities have everything in the world that they want, and they have all this privilege. Everyone who sits down
That's
and
emotional.
says it is, people who sit down and act like racism is only to white people and this is only unfair to white people, you need to get your head checked.
If anybody
Because
wants
at the end of the day, you're still a nigger. I'm sorry. And the actions show.
I'm going to sit down and say at the end of the day, if anybody wants to sit down and say that, trade positions with me.
Oh yeah.
Go right ahead. I guarantee you, I don't know anybody who would last in this situation. And I don't care.
Well,
the fact of the matter is this is not about where, yes, white people are getting discriminated and it's wrong. But the fact of the matter is there are people that know what to do and how to help you through this, but your pride and your hurt feelings and cucking to women is the reason why you're in this position. Because right now, the reason why white people are in this position is because they put women in positions where men should be. And then they allowed the cucking down of the society, because if they were having babies, there wouldn't be any of this mass immigration. They'd have no justification for it. Sure, they'd have a little bit of immigration. But after the baby boomers, you look at what happened during the 60s, when the baby boomers, they did not have the kids to replace them because they went off a cliff and changed the course of this country. Right? This is why they're the most self-entitled. They don't care about anybody but themselves.
I'm just saying, I don't care about anyone that says, oh, racism, because I never could say, oh, racism, so I'm going to stop. I was in America. I was homeless. I looked homeless. And I still had to go to events and explain to people what was going on and try to connect with people. People were threatening us to kill us, doing racial hate crime, literal racial hate crime against us. I was experienced all sorts of racial abuse, physical, all sorts of in America, and still had to go around doing stuff. So, oh, racism and my hurt feelings, I don't want to hear it. I don't care. Tell somebody who does, because I don't.
Well, I would say no one should experience that, but I'll tell you right now, when
I'm just saying it shouldn't stop you from doing what you need to do.
No, when I grew up, when I experienced racism, there was no DEI or any of that nonsense when I was growing up. You know what happened when I experienced racism? Work harder.
Exactly.
That
That's
was
my
my
point.
only option.
That's my point.
I couldn't complain. I had to sit down because who was I going to blame? The people that were racist?
Yeah.
I was a minority. I just had to deal with it. Like, I had people going to school, like, before I was going to school, people were spitting through my window, N-words, go back to Africa. And teachers telling me right to my face,
we're not even
lying and gaslighting me, telling me that black kids don't learn as well as fast as white kids. I just outperformed everybody in the entire city.
Yeah.
The entire country. And they're going to tell me that. So, yeah, I understand what that's like, and I had to deal with that and had people do a lot of unreasonable things, and a lot of them were feminists that did that. So, at the end of the day, I just had to deal with it and move forward. Don't sit down and complain or cry, but I do recognize that this is a type of thing, and there are people who can help you. You just need to accept the help. Put the pride away. Don't destroy your country because you feel bad or something makes you feel a certain way. Because at the end of the day, if everybody don't work together, we're all dead. Anyway, I'm going to close here with a prayer because we're going to need some of this. And we'll be continuing this further because we're going to go into more depth on the psychological manipulation and how they're using a satanic agenda through feminism to rip the fabric of society apart. Not saying that the people who are feminists are terrible people. The people who are slaying the foundation for this and putting this in the hands of people, they were 100% knowing what they were doing, or knew enough to know fully well exactly what they were doing was wrong. They did it anyway for their own personal power. And we need to start wising up to that and saying no more. And we're not going to be abused because, like that group think and how these people were talking about the psychological manipulation, this is what they've been doing to us for years. Feminism is the biggest, most destructive psyop of them all because it inverts everything over. So I'm going to close here with a prayer, and I'll give you your final thoughts. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. Thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. Open our hearts and minds to your will and hope, the men and women to come together, that we would humble ourselves before God, and that the men would lead their families back to God, and to rebuild it, to protect the children, rebuild the churches, the community, and the nation. That we can have some protection for the children until the work is done, until we see you coming in the clouds. Is my prayer in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thanks for the prayer as always. I don't have any final words because I don't care. And my dad said it already better than I could. So, anyways, get on with it, eh? Have a good day. Ciao, guys.
Hey everybody, Kaysha here. So today I want to talk to you a little bit real quick about Tina Peters' case. So on April 9th, 2024, myself, Maureen Steele, and Ann Vandersteel all went into the state of Colorado to file a petition for redress of grievances. Tina Peters actually also signed this petition. In fact, she actually had exculpatory evidence related to the election fraud that was outlined in the petition that was not allowed to go into the court. The petition was not brought to the floor, and as a result, Tina Peters was unlawfully imprisoned. My father, Dale Richardson, was actually tortured in the state of Colorado to suppress his evidence of treason against the United States, which was based on improper engineering controls which allowed for the spread of the COVID-19 virus, which was likewise created at Wuhan by Peter Daszak end the EcoHealth Alliance with the pathogen, which were handed over to the Chinese by the Winnipeg Biolabs. This created the circumstances for widespread election fraud. My father Dale and I are friends of Tina Peters, who has been politically persecuted for standing up for the liberty of all Americans. And she, as a sister in Christ, has been persecuted like I have for standing up for the liberty of all people. In the state of Colorado, women and Christians are being persecuted on monumental levels, and I'm calling for everyone to stand up for Tina Peters in every way possible, including using the CARES Project Action Plan to compel the state government to put the petition for redress of grievance to the floor so that Tina Peters can petition before the state house that belongs to the people. And if Colorado continues to deny a Republican form of government, we will implore that Congress and President Donald J. Trump initiate Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution, which guarantees a Republican form of government, to the states, and use that just power to intervene and provide what the Constitution has ordained. The time is upon us to come together and stand united as people, and let the world know that we stand together to preserve this perfect union for all Americans and our posterity. That is why, y'all already know, I'm going to leave you with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who cannot be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to